Hey everyone, my name is Anaya Ross, aka Realtor Ross, and I wanted to welcome you onto my course. I wanted to start off by congratulating you, all the viewers, for achieving your first step into financial independence via real estate. And an even more special thank you to allow me to be your teacher. So to start, I wanted to give a quick structure outline on everything that's going to take place into this course and what you can expect to get out of it. So without further ado, let's begin. So to start, for our introduction, I'm going to be talking a little bit about real estate, different avenues that there are for you to think about, as well as what put me into real estate and a little bit of my credentials. Next, I'll be explaining how to obtain your license, how to pass the exam, tips and tricks, and just different things that I wish I knew before picking a brokerage. And then after that, we're going to be talking about the number one single most important thing in this entire course, which is how you make money, which is prospecting, different ways to prospect, what helped me, how I make money, all of that good stuff. And lastly, I'll be covering different tips and tricks that have helped me stand out as a realtor. So real estate into a nutshell is defined as land and all improvements attached to the land, whether it be man-made or natural. Now with this in mind, there's multiple different subcategories in this field. You could be a realtor, both residential and commercial, an inspector, an appraiser, a broker, a property manager, leasing consultant, real estate marketing specialist, an architectural designer, a interior designer, staging specialist, a loan officer, a mortgage broker, a real estate attorney, and an investor. But because you can be an independent contractor while doing all of these professions, my tips and tricks will be perfect no matter what you decide to choose. So with that being said, how did I get into real estate? So I've always had a keen interest into real estate. I got my license whenever I was 18. I studied for it while I was 18 in high school, and then moved over here to Georgia where I'm currently licensed at to pursue it full time. Now, as to why I chose being a realtor as my career was because my family moves around very, very often, every single year. And so we were always looking for new rentals to be in. So Zillow was literally my best friend. I was always on it. And from there, I actually discovered I really love looking at houses. I enjoyed the character, I enjoyed touring, I enjoyed talking about them, I enjoyed researching them. I mean, I was pretty much the realtor for my mom whenever she was transitioning from house to house, even though we obviously had a realtor ourselves. So in between me picking the houses that we would always move into and just my underlying passion for wanting to become a multimillionaire, me being a real estate agent was born. Now, I'm not too sure how much you all know about being a realtor, but 70% of realtors drop out of real estate their first or second year. Literally every single video that you might do research on YouTube of how to become a realtor, a day in the life of a realtor, what to expect as a real estate agent, everybody will tell you this fact. So many people give up their first year, and that's because this business is not easy. It's not what it is projected as in the media, but that's why I'm here to make it a little bit more easier for you. So to talk a little bit about my credentials, I became licensed November of 2022. I've held my license for a little bit over a year now, and I've had one rental property, and I want to say 2 or 3 listings. I have a current listing right now that's under contract, so I'm going to go ahead and say 3, and 2 closed buyers, and then 1 pending. So that equates to about 7 sales for my first year. And I didn't sell anything until May of 2023. So that's a little bit of a gap between when I got my license and when I actually started selling. And statistically, the average realtor makes 0 sales their very first year, sometimes even their second year. So statistically, I did pretty well. Now, of course, I got all of my information from some very awesome and vetted realtors that I work very closely with every single day. So in this video, I'm literally going to tell you everything that they taught me, everything that I've learned along the way, and just tips and tricks that'll help you be successful. So that's a little bit about me, my credentials, why I'm making the video, and just to give you a little bit more insight on, who you're learning from, Now, before I dive into the nitty gritty of the information I want to give you all today, I want to make sure that you all write down your why. Why is it that you want to do this? Why do you want to go into real estate? What is it that you want to do? And what is your reason for achieving? And what are your goals? And then it's going to be a really great starting point for us today. So now that we've gotten through my long-winded introduction, let's go into how to get your license and pass this exam. So I wanted to talk a little bit about the simple steps onto how to even attain your license in the first place. All you need to do is find a GREC approved real estate course. This can either be an in-person course or online. I personally did mine online through PDH Academy. I wouldn't necessarily recommend them. I would not recommend them. It's definitely a self-paced, self-starter, self-taught course. So if that's more your style, definitely recommend them. If not, I would try maybe going on to the Real Estate Commission or the Georgia MLS and seeing what products that they have available. But you're going to need to first buy the course. This is going to be your 75-hour classroom training where you're going to essentially learn a little bit about the business, the laws, the math, legal terms and descriptions, just everything that you can soak in about real estate. Now, like I had mentioned earlier, depending on if you are a self-paced, self-starter, or more classroom taught and you would like to walk through the instruction, the course that you choose is really going to be specific and individualized to you and how your learning style is preferred. I would always recommend to people that if you do choose a course, make sure that it does have a refundable option on it in case you do not pass your real estate course. The test is not very easy, but these courses do pride themselves on giving you lots of great information and being able to pass you. So definitely work with one of the real estate courses that literally give you a refundable guarantee if you do not pass your exam. And I also wanted to mention, in case you are somebody that was interested in having your license in 2 different states, make sure you look at their reciprocity laws. Some states will allow you to take the course and the test and get licensed in this state, and then that's able to almost translate over to another state, but that same state might not apply to the other state. Now, a little bit about the setup of the real estate course. Whenever you decide which one that is best for you, understand that you're going to have your 75 hours of class time. If you decide to do it into a state that's not Georgia, the hours are going to differ. I believe like in Texas, it's 150. It just kind of differs. But in Georgia, it's going to be 75 hours. You're going to have your 75 hours of class time that goes over, what is real estate, what is real property, liens, deeds, taxes, all of that good stuff. It's going to give you a test at the end of your 75-hour license. You have 2 attempts to pass that test. The first attempt, it doesn't penalize against you. If you do not pass the second time, you have to restart the entire course all over again. Now, once you pass your in-course test, you are now eligible to apply to take the state test. The state test is how you actually obtain your license. That is the test that a lot of people struggle with. And of course, I'm going to give you some tips on how to pass. Now, these tips that I'm about to give in terms of study habits and test prep work for both the course test as well as the state test. But of course, I want to talk more about the state test because that's how you actually obtain your license. Now, with the state test, you can retake it as many times as you need. I personally had to take mine 3 times. And y'all, I'm not going to lie, the test is no joke, but that's not to discourage you. That's to prepare you for what's going to be on the test. I cannot speak specifically about what is on the test, and I took it a little over a year ago, so I probably wouldn't know anyways. But what I will say is that if the course says that Jane has 5 apples and 10 oranges, the test is going to ask, how many pineapples does Jane have? It's going to try to ask you some type of trick question just to make sure you actually understand the material and that you don't necessarily just understand the definitions, but you understand how it's also able to be applied. So obviously, all of the material that is going to be presented into your 75-hour course is going to be on the test. So knowing as much of that information as possible is going to be key to your success. What I will tell you is focus on definitions, making sure you understand exactly what everything is and how to apply it into real life situations, and being able to answer any type of test questions correctly and explain why it is correct. So let me tell y'all, tests are going to be your best friend. Take as many practice tests as you can, whether you purchase an outside book or other outside materials, or if you simply go on YouTube and you do as many practice tests as possible. That is going to help you so heavily. It's going to help you understand the test. It's going to help you understand how to problem solve, how to answer the questions, and really just get a good grasp of the information that you're going to need to know before entering into your test. Now, I did purchase outside study materials. I purchased a real estate book as well as a online real estate extra study course. But what I will say that helped me the most out of anything is going online and using Prep Agent. He absolutely did a great job of explaining concepts and had really great test prep questions. And between Prep Agent and my outside materials, I was able to succeed very well with the test. Now, it's unrealistic to expect that you're going to completely comprehend every ounce of information that is presented onto the course for the test. So what I recommend is do not necessarily harbor on what it is that you do not know unless it's a key concept, which you will know if it's a key concept or if it's a side character, but do not necessarily harbor harbor on what you do not know. Instead, make sure that you strengthen the areas that you are super confident in. With this being said, if there's about 15 to 20 chapters that you have to go through, you need to at least be fluent in at least, I want to say 11 of those. Now, any course topic that you're not absolutely confident and fluid in, still have a good understanding for what it's talking about. Go online, look at some videos on YouTube that's able to kind of further explain the concept and idea and try to connect it with something that you are already knowledgeable about. That way it kind of makes better sense to you. And if you're anything like me and you find a topic on the course that you just know nothing about, you are stressed out about looking for it, you don't even want to attempt to try to figure it out. That was me for the math section. I will say you might be able to get away with it just depending on how lengthy the course structure is. Every chapter is going to have different amounts of information. So if it's a chapter with 5 courses versus 10 courses, obviously the one with 10 courses you need to know. But if it just has 5 different sub-chapters within the chapter, you can kind of lay off a little bit. I hope that's not bad advice, but this is what I personally did. So I was fluent in about 11 of those. The other 8 I was pretty knowledgeable about. And there was one, AKA the math section, that I was just like, I know nothing. So I know I'm probably gonna get it wrong, but I am so fluent in all the other ones that that's gonna compensate for my grade. And just a general information about the test overall. I'm not too sure exactly how many questions there is. I think it's 150, but the first, let's just say 75 are going to be comprised of just overall basic real estate knowledge. Then you're going to have a specific section that is state specific. And then you're going to have another section that is purely just math, unless you are in California. California does not have a math piece. You must score, I believe, a 75 in order to obtain your license. And the test, I believe, is about $119. You can take it as many times as you need to pass, but you will have to pay that $119 every single time. Now, the last thing I want to touch on in terms of the test prep is going to be when you should take your test. Do not be discouraged if you fail your test the first time. That is okay. I know realtors who took it 10 times. Instead, if you fail it, make sure to schedule your test out a week later and then schedule that time in between. Just pure study. Grind it out as hard as you can. That's what I did, and that is the reason that I had passed my test the last time. I believe I had gotten like a 60 or a 50 my first time taking it. I felt really, really bad because I spent hours studying and I literally failed it so bad. I feel like I knew nothing. And I took the test again about a month or so later and I got a 73. So I had obviously seen drastic improvement, but I had done slow, gradual study paces. But whenever I went ahead and scheduled my last test a week later, I crammed, I studied, I grinded, and because that information was still into my brain, I was able to pass my test with flying colors the third time, and it was almost as if it was just like second nature. So please do not wait long gaps of time before taking your test again. If you do have to take it again, please take it no later than a week, latest a week and a half if you do fail it. For all of my people that are interested in maybe being an investor or a realtor or an appraiser or a broker, I still recommend taking this test. If the course specific to your career path does not offer basic real estate information in terms of land, what counts as real property, all of that good information, please take this course. You need to be as knowledgeable as possible into this industry, into this business. This is fundamental information. And of course, the more you know, the more money you're gonna make. Now, I'm gonna tell you guys something that I wish people told me, and that is start prospecting for business during this stage. I don't care if you know nothing about real estate. I don't care if you don't take your test until May and it is January. Start prospecting now. I'm not saying market yourself as a realtor because that is against our code violations, but make sure that you are able to at least get your name out there. Say, hey, my name is so-and-so. I'm looking to be a realtor. I am getting my course prep started. And do you know anybody who's potentially looking to buy or sell within the next 3 or 4 months? The more people that know that you are a realtor is how your business is going to grow and flourish exponentially. And you're not going to be one of the agents like me that was stuck with, oh, what now, whenever I got my license. So prospecting while you are currently taking your course, taking the exam, is going to help you get into the business faster, make money faster, and not be like me, where I had to wait 6 months for my first sale. The last thing that I want to talk about within this specific segment is going to be signing with a brokerage. So once you find out you want to be a realtor, take your 75-hour exam, pass that in-course exam, pass the state exam, now you're ready to find a brokerage. Some people recommend prospecting before you pass your exam. To me, I personally say it's really up to your discretion. If you do have a brokerage in mind that you already signed with, whenever you take your exam, you can go ahead and have your license active immediately, versus if you do not have a brokerage immediately, you're going to be placed on inactive. And in case you did not know, you cannot sell real estate without being affiliated with a brokerage. I wish people stressed the importance of who you are brokered with, because let me tell you, that is the difference between making $0 a month and $10,000 a month. My thought process coming into the whole brokerage and real estate game was to be with the biggest and most well-known name brand broker. So who do you think I went with? Keller Williams. Now, absolutely no hate to Keller Williams. There's people that succeed with starting off with Keller Williams, and there's people that don't. I just happen to be the person that did not. But depending on your skills, sales, techniques, and your work ethic, the brokerage that you choose is going to be crucial to your success. Signing up with a big brokerage is going to have both pros and cons. I'd say some of the best pros are going to be resources and name affiliation. And I'd say some of the biggest cons are going to be community and growth opportunities. Whenever you go with these big brokerages, you're working with the big dogs. You're working with people who make 5, 10, 12 sales a month, which you would think is a good thing in theory. But let me tell you something, in this business, no one's going to share the secret sauce on how they're making $10, $15, $20, $30,000 a month coming off of the gate. And that's why I personally didn't succeed, was because I did not understand the business. I didn't understand people weren't just going to give me the secret sauce. I didn't understand that I had to prospect for my own business. I didn't understand any of that stuff. I didn't have somebody to hold my hand and walk me through the processes and show me how to write and create contracts. So for me, a smaller brokerage was exactly what I needed. I'm currently with Weichert Realtors Prestige Partners. Now, Weichert is still a bigger brokerage. We have over 500 offices nationwide, but Weichert Realtors versus Keller Williams, those are on two different name scales. But for me, I was able to connect with a really great mentor who has helped me tremendously, a really great broker who is dedicated to one-on-one interaction and personal development and growth. So between those two aspects into my real estate career, that is what took me from making no sales my first 6 months to making a sale almost every single month for my first year. Please do research on these brokerages before you sign with one. Remember, they're not interviewing you, you are interviewing them. So diving right in, how do you make money in real estate? One simple answer: prospecting. A lot of times social media portrays the life of a realtor as going to closings and going into the office and picking out outfits for what they're going to wear. But 90% of what you're going to be doing as a realtor is prospecting for business. Now, prospecting is essentially networking. You're looking for a new business, you're building relationships, you are talking to new people, and you are just getting your name out there as a realtor. So why is this important? Well, if nobody knows that you're a realtor, nobody's going to work with you. Prospecting is the only way to get your name out there in terms of getting business. So therefore, you got to prospect to get business, period. Now, there's different ways to prospect. Some of the most common methods are going to be door knocking, doing open houses, putting flyers out, handing out business cards, making calls, circle prospecting into neighborhoods, doing mailers, and simply just talking to people that you already know and seeing if they're interested in buying or selling real estate. Now, all of these are effective ways to prospect, but from my personal efforts, the best thing that I've seen in terms of results is going to be starting with your sphere of influence, because people buy people before they buy products and service, and simply going outside and talking to people, creating connections. I know a lot of people do calls, but the reality of this business is People are much more likely to engage with you if it is a face-to-face interaction than if it's just on a phone call. So doing simple things like hosting events or maybe putting a little table out in front of your local neighborhood grocery store to where people can attract and come to you instead of you begging them to talk to you will help you get business so much easier. Now, in terms of your personality, if you are more social, you like to talk and interact and engage, definitely try door knocking and in-person selling techniques. And if you're more introverted, I would recommend doing something like mailers, posters, flyers, and just trying to hand out as many business cards as possible. However you decide to do it is completely up to you. As long as you are meeting new people every day and putting them into your database, that is the goal, even if they're not ready to buy or sell within 2 years. Now, in terms of frequency of prospecting, I would say if you're just starting out, definitely shoot for every day, if not every other day. And then the more vetted that you are into this business will start to kind of come back to you in the form of referrals, which is the goal. That's what we want. If you're more numeric based, my brokerage personally says to do about 200 phone calls a week for new agents and 100 phone calls a week for more vetted agents. But of course, once you get those referrals and it circles back to you, it can be as many or as little as you like, depending on how much you want to scale your personal business. But the overall point is meet as many people as you can. It also helps to make goals and targets for yourself. I know for me personally, making calls is really hard for me to do. I do not know why. It's just something I really dread doing. But I make a personal goal for myself to hit at least 50 calls, whether it's just people that I know, people that I work with, people that I'm friends with. Make it fun. It doesn't have to always be super businessy. Like I said, start with your sphere of influence because people will buy people before they buy products and service. And I can't tell you how many times people have preferred to work with another realtor that didn't have nearly as much of experience as me, simply just because that was their friend or their aunt or their uncle. So work with the people that you already have and create goals and targets. That way you're able to achieve those phone calls a little bit more digestible. Now let's talk about what separates the top 1% of earners in real estate. Now the average real estate agent closes about 4 to 6 sales a year, while top 1% of producers are closing billions in a year. There's clearly a huge gap. And y'all, this is because of prospecting and network. Not only are these top 1% earners surpassing meeting 200 people a week, they are making sure that the business that they currently have is being recirculated back to them by keeping in touch with them and not leaving them out of their database. So birthdays, anniversaries, whatever the case is, they're reaching out. As much as 70% of people who have partaken into a real estate transaction said that they would totally work with their past realtor again. However, they forgot that they existed because the realtor failed to follow up and keep in touch with them. So whenever they have referrals or them themselves are ready to either buy or sell, they're not using that same realtor and creating more business. So make sure you're staying in touch. Now, obviously with my personal sales for my first year, I did pretty well. So a lot of people ask me how I got my leads, how I prospect, and what I do to make essentially one deal a month. I'm trying to get more consistent with my calls and increase my call volume for 2024, but how I got all of my business was 2 things. One was my network. I actually went ahead and did a referral-based system with a realtor into the office. And my broker signed me up with OpCity, which is essentially a site that gives you leads. You convert those into closings, and then you give OpCity a percentage of that commission once you close the deal. So in a nutshell, I got all of my business from referrals, which is totally a great way to start and get your foot into the game. But I will say longevity-wise, I don't always recommend it simply because if you want to really build and foster relationships, you have to learn how to prospect. And so if you want any longevity into this business, you can't run away from it. So it's helped me get my foot into the game, but longevity-wise, I am going to work onto my calls. Now, for someone who does real estate part-time, I do recommend being a referral-based agent. This could mean going into your office and saying, hey, I'll close these deals for you and give you X amount of percentage of my commission. Or if you know a realtor in Florida who knows someone who's moving to Georgia and they can't have the commission, make sure that they are giving you the business. That way you are able to start fostering those relationships. So don't only prospect with other people, prospect with realtors as well. And if you're somebody who decides that you want to spend more money than time into developing into the real estate business, I would recommend just buying the leads flat out. There is hundreds of websites that offer buying leads, whether it's you pay an upfront amount a month. It could be anywhere between $1,200 to $4,000. It really just depends, but it's going to be every single month. Or you can find some sites that don't charge you any upfront overhead. Whenever you close a deal, you have to pay a percentage of commission to them for the referral. Now, both of these have pros and cons. Of course, the overhead of the $4,000, $2,000 a month is kind of heartbreaking, because if you don't close anything, then you just spent $2,000 and $4,000 for essentially no reason. And the leads that they give you are not guaranteed to close. But in the event that you are able to find a client from that and close a transaction, that percentage that you are paying the company a month is way lower than these commission referrals whenever you do your splits for the companies that do not require any upfront overhead. So it's completely up to you in terms of how you get your business. But to me, prospecting is the only way to actually stay in the game and make infinite amount of money. Otherwise, buying leads or being a referral agent is definitely a way to go. If you want to just get your foot in the game, get a couple of deals under your belt, that's what I did. I recommend that. It's just not good for longevity wise. Regardless, I just want you all to understand that you're either going to be paying with your time or your money. So when talking about different tips and tricks that I wish that I knew before I got into real estate, I wanted to make sure that these were all specific in terms of making money and increasing your profitability, instead of just random things that I just kind of wish that I knew. So let's go ahead and dive right in. Thing number one is that 90% of your time is going to be spent prospecting. I didn't understand how crucial prospecting was into this business until I understood no checks came without prospecting. I think it's really important to touch on the fact that being an independent contractor, you are your own boss, you are an entrepreneur, and your business is either going to grow or fail as much as you try. When people talk about this business is literally as good or as bad as you make it, it is literally as good or as bad as you make it. There is no cap on your income. There is no cap on your earning potential. And I feel like a lot of people come into this thinking, oh, I can make it easy $10,000, $15,000 a month. That is not the case. The amount of work and upfront effort that you have to put in to this business to see any type of result is something that I personally wasn't prepared for, because being an entrepreneur is not for everybody. I think one of my favorite quotes when thinking back to this is that I needed to make sure that I was okay with working for free before I actually got paid for it. So for the past couple of months that I was in real estate and didn't make any sales, I was still working and doing real estate. I was still doing the calls, I was still doing house tours, and I was still doing all things real estate, but there was no check associated with it. So make sure that you are comfortable with working for free before you even make any type of profit. The second thing that I wish I knew was how to present my credibility as a realtor. Now, obviously, I am a younger realtor, so my credibility is always questioned. So with that information in mind, I like to make sure that I follow two specific structures to make sure that people know when working with me, I mean business. Number one is appearance, and number two is going to be knowledge. Appearance is absolutely everything into this business, and especially with me being younger, I don't always get the luxury of being able to go to a closing or an inspection in jeans or a t-shirt and some sneakers. That'll actually make me look my age. So instead, even if it's something as simple as an inspection or closing or something that doesn't necessarily require me to dress up, I always make sure I have a cardigan, a blazer, make sure I'm always in dress pants or a long pencil skirt, just something that'll make me appear and look more mature, professional, and older, because that just kind of tells them how I carry myself, and it helps me look a year or two older than what I probably am. For me, I like to use the term dress how you want to be addressed, and I like for people to think of me as that real estate professional that they can go to for advice and market knowledge and just overall fluency within real estate. And so with that, how I appear and how I dress is very crucial to my business and how people have been able to take me a little bit more seriously into this market. Now, in terms of knowledge, obviously, you got to know your stuff. If someone asks you a question that you don't know the answer to, Either answer it to the best of your ability or say, that's a really good question. As of 2023, it was this, but let me check for 2024 to make sure that you are getting the most recent and accurate information. Knowing your market, knowing different trends, knowing neighborhoods, knowing the area, knowing different places to eat. It's little things that if you know the answer to their questions, they will automatically put a little bit more respect to your name, no matter how old you are. And anytime I've sensed that someone is kind of questioning my credibility, I like to always give more information than what is asked. That way they can see that I know exactly what it is that I'm talking about. Also, asking them questions really, really helps because you're able to, for one, get a better feel and understanding for what it is that they're looking for, things that matter to them in terms of moving. Maybe it's neighborhood, maybe it's amenities, but it also allows you to have a conversation. That way it doesn't feel like an interrogation. So researching the market and how you dress will take you a very long way in terms of proving your credibility. If someone asks you how long you've been licensed for, I would warn against saying the exact year amount if it's anything that's less than 3 years, simply just because people will look at you as if you don't really know what you're talking about because you haven't been licensed. And a lot of times people will go with a 10-year agent versus a 2-year agent. So if someone asks you how long you've been in real estate for, I wouldn't necessarily say, hey, I've been in real estate for a year. I would say, I've been a licensed agent for some time now. Before this, I worked in property management. I had a couple of showings to do with X, Y, and Z company. Just tie in anything that you had to do with real estate as a whole to kind of broaden your experience. People like experience. So give them experience. Just don't only say and limit yourself to when you've been licensed. Tip number 3 is how to stand out amongst other realtors. Now, this to me is pretty straightforward in terms of the answer. Number 1, you got to outwork people. And number 2, you need to add some type of uniqueness to your business. Don't just be the realtor that says, hey, I sell in Metro Atlanta. Work with me. Say, hey, I'm the realtor that sells to first-time home buyers. If you're looking for a first-time home package with low money down and X, Y, and Z, I'm the guy to go to. Hey, I'm the realtor that specializes in divorce and absentee owners. If you are going through a divorce or you don't currently reside in the property that you are trying to sell, you let me know because I'm able to do X, Y, and Z for you. And even with marketing yourself, even if you're able to only wear black or only wear purple or only wear gold, you could be the blue realtor, the gold realtor, the black realtor. Every little thing that you can do to help people affiliate you with something else to keep you top of mind will make you so much money in the future. It's not even funny. So if there's a realtor making 200 calls a week, you better make 300. And if you want to stay top of mind, be the realtor that only wears gold. Be the realtor that only wears white. Be the realtor that represents people who are absentee owners or downsizers. Essentially what I'm saying is have a niche and expand on that as much as possible. Tip number 4 is going to save you a lot of time in the business, and that's a good deal versus a bad deal. Now, a lot of new agents are going to be like me where they're like, oh, I just want a sale. Please give me a chance. And anytime that someone even expresses the idea of potentially buying or selling, you're going to be all over it. Y'all, let me tell you something. Do not waste your time. The reality is 60 to 70% of people who you encounter that say, hey, I want to buy or sell either are not talking about any time recently, I'm talking a year or 2 later in the future, or they're just here to waste your time altogether. To me, some pretty telltale signs of good versus bad deals are people's availabilities, how much time and effort and energy they're actually willing to spend onto this process. If buyers are willing to get pre-approved, if buyers and sellers are willing to sign a brokerage engagement with you, and just the overall speed for of which they want the transaction to get done. I've set out a multitude of appointments for clients to book with me, set up consultations, come into the office, go over listing presentations and plans, and go and show houses and all this good stuff. And if they are not putting in the time to at least prepare themselves for the process, they are not trying to go into the process. So don't be like me investing all of this time and energy into people who won't even give you a courtesy call or a text back. Instead, put that energy and effort into people that are new prospects in terms of calling, mailers, prospecting, just all that good stuff. Your time is money in this industry, and if you are wasting it trying to follow up with people who have no interest in working with you, you are losing business actively. And number one thing that I wish somebody told me, if a buyer is not pre-approved, do not show them houses. It's pointless. If they can't put an offer on it and they're not paying in cash, we're looking at it for no reason. You're wasting your time, you're wasting your gas, and at the end of the day, there's no sale after. And like my broker always says, if it doesn't make money, it doesn't make sense. The last thing that I wish that I knew before becoming a realtor are different apps that would help me advance into this business. The first one is going to be Supra, aka Super eKey. This is $15 a month. Depending on what state you're in, it could be different. It could be something called different, but here in Georgia, it is Super eKey. That is how us realtors get into houses for showings. So that's going to be a non-negotiable app. You're going to need to download that. You're going to need to buy some signs to put in front of people's houses for listings. So just keep that in mind. It's $15 a month. You're able to do house tours. It's worth it. Of course, if you do not want to invest into a Supra box, they're about $75 each, I think used, and $100 if they are brand new. You can go to Home Depot or Office Goods and get just a normal little lockbox, one of those little craftsmanship codes where you just put a code in and put the keys inside. I always recommend doing a Supra. I mean, that's the world that we're in, full of technology and all that good stuff. So I recommend doing a Supra, but if you're trying to be a little bit more cost effective, that box is available as well. But regardless, you're going to need a Super eKey because if you're doing showings and you don't have that, you can't get in the door. App number 2 is KeyPlease. So KeyPlease is great for both vetted agents and new agents. It's a great way for new agents to make some money into this business while they're not making any sales. And it's a great way for vetted agents to pass off their task for other agents. New agents are able to get experience, able to do showing for other agents' clients, able to write contracts or go and run errands, just be able to be in the real estate business without necessarily having a sale. So it's really great experience wise, and it's a really great way to make up some of that money that you spent whenever you were obtaining your course in the first place. So if you're looking to make some extra money into real estate and you're not necessarily making sales yet, KeyPlease is a really great app to use. Now the next app I want to talk to you about is not necessarily an app in particular, but a sector that has a multitude of apps that offer this, which is buying leads. This is very controversial. It works amazing for some people and it's a complete waste of money for others. Lead buying saves you a lot of time with prospecting. You probably don't even have to prospect, but it is very expensive. I'm talking the cheapest lead buying network that I've seen was $1,200 a month, and the most expensive that I've seen is $4,000. But of course, that can skyrocket quick. The thing about lead buying is that these are not guaranteed leads. These are just new people that you didn't necessarily have to call up on the phone to say, hey, can I talk to you about real estate? Now, there's a huge gray area with buying leads. I mean, sometimes it works for people's benefit and sometimes it doesn't. I would say anybody who wants to invest more money versus time into their business, definitely look into buying leads, but do your research on these companies beforehand. That's going to be most advantageous for you. But like everything, there is pros and there is cons. If you were spending $1,000, $4,000, $10,000 a month on lead gen and you're not closing enough deals to make that money back, it gets to be a waste of money very quickly. I mean, 2 bad months of not closing any deals and you're paying Zillow $3,000, $4,000 a month to give you leads, you get discouraged in this business very quickly. And you're already down $8,000. I mean, it's a quick turnaround. But some people opt into doing the referral-based leads where you only pay a commission once you close those deals. I will say it's better for upfront costs, but those commission breakpoints are way more money that you're paying back to that lead generation company than if you were to pay $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month for infinite amount of leads. For example, whenever I was using OpCity, whenever I closed a deal, I think the house was about $409,000. OpCity received a paycheck of about $5,000 or $6,000. And then my commission was obviously, way less than that. Versus if I would have paid, let's just say Zillow, $2,000 a month, I would have closed that deal and I would have netted an extra $3,000 to $4,000 a month just based off of that one transaction alone. So it's really up to you. It's if you want to pay the upfront money or if you want to close the deals first. But understand if you do close the deals first, you will be paying a higher amount in commission in the back end. My next next app that I'm going to say to download is going to be a CRM. Now, depending on what brokerage you are with, 9 times out of 10, they already have a CRM for you to use. This is essentially your dialer. This is to keep you organized. Think of it as your daily calendar, your lifeline in your business. It has everyone's name in it, phone numbers, birthdays, emails, different notes, different things that you talked about. I mean, it has essentially everything that you need to be successful into this business. So I recommend, if your company does not have a CRM, buy a CRM. It's the best way to get organized into your business and keep up to date with everything. The next app I'm going to be talking about is Mile IQ. It is really self-explanatory. Essentially, it's just an app that you download on your phone that plays in the back end that tracks your mileage. That way, whenever it is tax time, you can go ahead and write off those miles and get some more money during tax season. And finally, the last app that I'm going to be talking about is Hi Hello. Hi Hello is an online business card that has saved me a multitude of times whenever I ran out of business cards, but people had asked my contact information. You never want to be that realtor that does not have their card on them and has to get people's numbers or has to put them into your notes. Believe me, I've been there. I've done that. It makes you look super unprofessional. So trust me, get an online digital business card. That way, in the event that you run out or you don't have any, people are still able to find you, scan you, and it looks a lot more professional. That is going to conclude today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found what I said helpful, and I hope you learned something today. And just know that you are one step closer into making a 6 to 7 figure income with real estate. I have provided my socials right here in case you were looking to follow and keep up with me for more. And if you love this course, please shoot me a review and share with your friends and family and help them be in the know about what all is going on with real estate so we can all make 2024 our year. I would love to connect with each and every one of you, so please feel free to reach out and connect with me on my Instagram. I promise I will respond. And until then, if you have any other questions or concerns, please feel free to shoot me a message or DM me and I will get back to you as soon as possible. Once again, I want to say thank you all so much for your time and attention into this course. I hope you have a wonderful day and a prosperous year. Realtor Ross out.